Today, I'd want to share my story with all of you. I'm a 40-year-old man, and my wife, Sophia, is a 37-year-old woman. We were married 5 years ago. Sophia, who is originally from France but has extended relatives and friends in the United States, and I first met when she traveled from France to attend her friend's wedding in America. We first met while I was working as the wedding planner for Sophia's friend Sarah's wedding. Sophia was assisting with wedding-related tasks. I was captivated by her. She was extremely different from American women, therefore I was naturally interested in getting to know her. Prior to her, I had never dated any foreign women. She was very beautiful, elegant, and well-dressed. At first, she was not very friendly to me. She hardly ever smiled at me or anybody else, and she did not immediately participate in conversation with me, but because it was a wedding occasion, I was able to somehow get through her uptight exterior. She was also quite confident and flirtatious, and these attributes of her impressed me. I don't want to generalize, but if you tell most American women you are beautiful, they will typically respond, "Oh no, I'm not beautiful. You should see me on a bad day." But when I complimented Sophia, she answered, "Thank you," which impressed me. She had a lot of self-confidence. We had only met 3 times when I fell in love with her. Her thin frame, high cheekbones, and olive skin gave off an air of confidence that captivated me. After Sophia's friend's wedding, she had to return to France. But I wanted to spend more time with her, so I invited her to a dinner, which she accepted grudgingly. I made an effort to get ready, and when she arrived wearing a black dress and red lipstick, I knew I would marry her one day. As the night progressed, I found myself increasingly drawn to Sophia's intellect, sense of humor, and confidence. I was struck by how effortlessly the conversation flowed between us, and by the end of the night, I knew that I had fallen in love with her. My lucky stars were shining strongly. And Sophia was experiencing visa problems, so her aunt, who lived in America, wanted her to stay longer so she didn't have to return immediately, and during that time, I worked hard to win Sophia's heart. She began to like me and one day stated, "Bah, if an American man like you proposed to me, I might never go back to France," in an apparent attempt to get me to pop the question into my head. Basically, she was giving me hints to propose. I laughed, and proposed to her 2 days later. We got married in less than 6 months, and everyone was amazed at my good fortune. Calling me lucky to have a lovely French bride, I couldn't believe my good fortune and was overjoyed. The first few years of our marriage were wonderful. Sophia taught me how to be confident and organized, and I gave her vocabulary lessons in English. She always ate healthfully and she would always eat in moderation and encouraged me to do the same. She would take me along with her when she went for walks. She was mostly interested in American culture and lifestyle, but she didn't appreciate my lack of organization and laziness. After 2 years of marriage, I had come to understand Sophia's aggressive side and her domineering nature. One day, I invited my parents over for dinner. Sophia helped me in making all the food and did all the preparations for the dinner. When my parents arrived and we all were having dinner, but instead of eating anything, Sophia kept smoking on the dining table. My mother insisted her to eat something, but she straight up refused, and when I asked her to smoke outside, she told me to mind my own business. My parents felt disrespected since they are allergic to smoke, but Sophia did not apologize or express sorrow. Instead, she stated that it was her house as well and that she could smoke anywhere she pleased. My parents fled and did not return. Sophia did not apologize to me, but instead wore an attractive gown and red lipstick to make up with me. This was her method of putting things right. Whenever we fought, she would get ready and ask me to sit on a balcony with her to drink wine. Naturally, I forgave her because I was madly in love with her, and since we came from such different backgrounds, and I wanted to give her that space. I wanted to have children, but Sophia wanted to wait and get settled in America first. She wanted to make her career here, so she one day made a list of pros and cons of having kids right now and convinced me it was not the proper time to have kids. There was something about hearing Sophia's accent that made me smile. A French accent is considerably cooler than an American one. The pronunciation, the articulation and the cute mannerisms just makes you swoon, and she knew this was my weakness, so she would always use her cute accent to get whatever she wanted. I was running a small event management company and Sophia was working as a freelance fashion stylist, but since her style, language, and culture were different, she was not getting many clients. So she convinced me to hire her at my office. She said she could get clients through my company and helped me manage my office. I had a team of 8 people and my work largely involved outdoor activities, and I could utilize her managerial abilities in my indoor office, so I gladly offered her to join. She immediately joined the office and started managing everything. I was relieved to have someone who was checking on employees and doing everything properly. I had a designer named Blake who was working from the office at the time, and there were a few other employees who reported to my wife. But Sophia began requesting Blake to come home to create designs for various sheets and presentation work, and when I told her it was not necessary, she would say things like, "You know nothing about management," and how messy I was, and how everything had to be done correctly. Blake would occasionally come over with his wife Alice to have dinner with us. And Sophia's behavior with Alice was clearly spiteful. One day Blake was at our house for work. Alice was with him. We were having dinner and Alice was helping in setting the table, but Sophia told her bluntly that it was her house and she didn't like Alice acting like a hostess. Poor Alice felt embarrassed at Sophia's comments, but Blake didn't say anything to defend his wife. So I had to make a joke out of it and reassure Alice that even I wasn't allowed in the kitchen when Sophia was doing anything. Everyone laughed, but it was such an awkward situation for me because I have never been disrespectful to anyone before. After dinner Sophia went to make coffee, but this time Alice didn't offer to help. She kept sitting with Blake and me in the living room. A few minutes later Sophia returned from the kitchen and brought 3 cups of coffee and gave 1 cup to Blake, 1 to me and 1 for herself. She didn't even bother to offer Alice coffee. Alice pretended not to notice, but it was downright impolite, and when I offered Alice my cup of coffee, to which my wife Sophia said, "No, I added sugar to your cup. And Alice can't have sugar because she already needs to lose weight." Blake was laughing at Sophia's remarks. I felt extremely bad for Alice and took her side and said no, Alice doesn't need to change anything in her appearance, she is already beautiful. Sophia didn't like my compliment for Alice, so to make me jealous she kept complimenting Blake on everything. She told him how she admired his height. Blake was a bit taller than me. And how she admired his talent and work ethics. She was taunting me because I was a bit messy when it came to work management. I made the joke out of the situation, but I felt bad when my wife was praising other men in front of me. Blake and Alice left around 11 p.m. that night and I confronted Sophia about her behavior. She told me she only complimented Blake because I complimented Alice, but I only complimented Alice to cover up her rude behavior, but she didn't want to understand that. 2 days later she prepared a fancy dinner and wore fancy clothes. She brought expensive wine to make everything alright with me. I thought it was out of love, but it was her pattern after every fight. After that incident she straight up told Blake that these are work meetings and he can't bring Alice to our home every time. That was rude too. Nevertheless, it was preferable than hurting Alice in front of her face, so I was relieved. I took Alice's number from the office and apologized to her. She was a sweet woman, she didn't make it an issue and ignored Sophia's rude behavior. After that Blake had also stopped coming to our house. I only saw him twice when Sophia and I both needed him for designing banners and work proposals. I was glad for his availability for urgent work even at midnight. Sophia convinced me and I gave him raise for working tirelessly. Sophia was handling everything at the company so well, and as a result, our business was awarded contracts to host 2 prominent Christmas events. I was quite busy and grateful for her presence as she assigned everyone in the office duties to complete while I was working in the fields and halls. I rarely got time to visit office. It was December and most of our staff was on vacation. Sophia told me they all had completed their work so they deserved vacations, but she would go to the office to complete small tasks. When I questioned her about a design project, she said Blake was on vacation. One day, I cancelled my meetings and thought to have lunch with Sophia because I was extremely pleased with her work. I was impressed that even when everyone was on holidays she was working, and I thought it was romantic to enjoy lunch with your wife in an empty office, so I picked takeaway order to surprise Sophia. I picked her favorite donuts and coffee as well. It was like a surprise date for me. I parked my car and entered the office building. It was a small office with 3 rooms. The one room in the left corner was for Sophie. When I entered, the office was vacant, which made me glad since I like empty workplaces and it's amazing to find your favorite person in an empty space. I went to Sophia's room, but the door was closed. I considered knocking, but decided against it because I wanted to surprise her. I opened the door only to discover Blake and wife with each other acting inappropriately. I was shocked to see them together. They both didn't expect me there at all. Blake said to me it was not what I thought but what was in it to think about when I saw them together with my own eyes. I punched Blake and phoned his wife Alice to come. Blake begged me to not to tell Alice, but why should I have kept this infidelity a secret? Sophia was shocked but did not think much of it. She did not express regret and believed that I would soon forgive her as usual, but betrayal was not acceptable to me. When I phoned my lawyer and asked him to start the divorce process in front of her, Sophia started crying and stated that flirting and having affairs are not a big problem in her family's way of life, but it was the final straw for me, and I couldn't stand that. Perhaps I may have been wrong to put up with her rude behavior, but her affair was unacceptable to me. Sophia didn't expect any of it, so when I told her to leave my office and home right away, she sobbed uncontrollably and screamed at me and cursed me. I told her to shut up and leave. Update: our divorce process has finalized, and I'm finally at peace. Sophia had to temporarily return to her own country because she had lost both her job and her home. Blake's wife Alice had left Blake, and due to the similarity of our situations we both started dating each other, as only Alice could have a better understanding of my scenario. Alice is such a nice, wonderful person. French people are wonderful. I don't mean to criticize the French or their culture in any way. In fact, I'm still in contact with Sophia's aunt, but my luck wasn't on my side when it comes to Sophia and our marriage. I learned great things from Sophia like work ethics, good eating habits. But we were not compatible, unfortunately. I think it was a mistake for Sophia and I to get married so soon after meeting each other. However, I don't want to dwell on the past because I've learned a lot from my mistakes and I am happy with Alice. I would just like to advise you not to get married too soon. You should get to know each other well before considering getting married. Please advise me on how to grow my relationship with Alice. Please tell me if dating Alice is the right decision for me. I am grateful for you taking the time to listen to my story. Thank you so much for watching this video.